Hello, and welcome to another episode of Confessions of Dog Trainer. I'm so happy you're here. I've taken off a few weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I don't even know when the last episode was, but I'm excited to get back to it. At, since you're listening to this, there's probably going to be some kind of a title on it to sum up what the podcast episode is about. I really don't know, but what I do know is I want to share some things from the current board and trained dog I have and the last one that I had, some surprising things with the little Frenchie Valentina I worked with that I thought would be hopefully insightful for you, and then some FAQ that I got. So one, when I'm working with dogs, I'm always thinking of owners who are following on Instagram. That's primarily where I share about dogs that I work with. I now know that people find the podcast through Google and Spotify. I always thought they would just find it through Instagram and me sharing. So the internet, wild. So I'm so happy you're here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Bethany. I'm a trainer. I am the trainer at Walking Dog Training. And I share a lot over on Instagram. So if you're not following there, go take a look there. I'm probably going to mention some highlights that I have on Instagram of the dogs that I work with. I always love to share videos, the little stories that I share daily with dogs to those highlights so that people can go back and refer back to them. First, before I forget, I always like to do this, a little hello to my dad, who is the reason that I got back into podcasting. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for him. He passed away last year in, or no, 2023 in November. And it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I am sure a lot of you can relate. You don't know. I had no idea what this was like, losing someone, until I lost someone that I love very much. But it has propelled me forward in a lot of different ways. Like I wouldn't be here doing this podcast if it wasn't for him. He loved his own podcast that he had, and he had a tagline he would always say, I've got my cup of joe, I'll wait for you to get yours. So I like to say it as a hello to him. So first, I am writing a book, which is very exciting. I've had this idea for years. I mean, I have maybe, 3 ebooks that are training ebooks: our e-collar starter guide, reactive dog handbook, and our guides to separation anxiety. I will link all of those in the show notes as always. So if you're ever wondering what those are like, or if there's something you would like to have, those will be in the show notes. But I've always loved, I remember I worked with an owner actually who, it was their Dogo Argentino, however you say it. And she was one of my favorite dogs I've ever worked with. She really made me love that breed. And they struggled with reactivity, as anyone who has a Dogo probably knows. They're a strong breed. But the owner, one of them, the husband, he was in publishing. And this was like, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was sharing a lot on Instagram. At that time, it was like, I'm sure a lot of you have seen people say this, where it's like, oh, I miss the old days of Instagram where it was pictures and stories. And I would write a lot in the caption as like kind of a mini blog. And I just love telling stories. I'm a big believer that all the things that we've been through, it is our story to tell. It's the thing that, makes us unique. And when you're in a dog trainer, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but it's really hard to set yourself apart from other trainers. And for me, I was just always looking for ways to be more of myself. I had this like dream of, I want to get paid to be myself, which is so like, oh, that's so nice. Like, of course. But it really was something I wanted. And it wasn't like I wanted to be on a reality show, even though I love watching Housewives, like love watching Housewives. But to me, it was more, I want to be able to be myself, my fullest self. I've spent so much of my life running away from who I am and trying to be more like other people. And I just was getting into a mode of like, I want to embrace all of my crazy stories that I've been through. I want to highlight all my insecurities. I want to be more of me. So it wasn't so much about getting paid to be that, but so he reached out to me and he was like, you should really write a book. And at the time I was like, what? I don't even know if like Amazon had self-publishing or like all the self-publishing things, but he sent me this, it was like a storyline or storyboard where you answer these questions about what your book looks like. And I had this idea of doing the e-collar starter guide, guide with like the pictures, and there's a lot of visuals. It's not like telling a story. It's more a training how to use the e-collar. And I was more excited about that at the time, and writing a book, it just didn't feel like, I probably wasn't very motivated to do it. And I kind of I remember thinking, oh, I just feel like I have more stories to live before actually writing a book. And so I still think about him and how supportive he was, and the questions I had to answer through that worksheet he sent me. And now I feel totally ready. And again, it's because of my dad, and he had a dream of writing a book. And in one of the journals I have of his, where he wrote some notes, and there was a page where it said like it was a book he wanted to write, and the title was "What If," and that was it. And then I just know he always wanted to write one. I always wanted him to write one about being a salesman, because he was a salesman all of his life, and he had so many great uh, like so many great lessons from being a salesman. Like, he was my mentor. I thought I needed like a dog trainer mentor, but he really was my mentor and helped me prioritize everything that wasn't dog training. But when you're a dog trainer, well, I don't know if you know, but if you don't, the owner side of things is everything. You don't have to be the best dog trainer in the world, but if you create an experience for your owners that makes them feel seen, heard, supported, you will have a very successful training business. And he helped me really see that, because I would talk to him when I had issues with owners, or things weren't clicking, or trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. And it was never about the dog training. It was about, well, did you communicate this with them? Or how can you communicate better? Or so, but he had a dream of writing a book, and I just keep, now it's just, life feels so, I don't want to say precious, but like, you only live once, as cliche as that is. And when you lose someone you love so much, it's, it's very real. So, so with him, excuse me, I, it just kind of propelled me forward to do that, and that life is short. And I feel like, oh, there's no better time than now. And it's funny because, and I'm going to get into dog stuff, I promise, but I kind of like to talk about some things that are going on at the moment. And I'm really hopeful that the book is something that will resonate with you. And my dream is that it's a book that other trainers want their owners to read as like homework, or it just really fills, I think, that owner gap in like the dog training process. And it's just so funny how things happen. And I think if you're open to it, you will start to see the signs, the things like, I'm just a very big believer in that. And when you are aware of things, it's a lot like if you go shop for a red car, you see a red car everywhere. It's just, I know so many of us have experienced that. And so I was thinking about the book. I had written out like an outline, just a rough outline. And it was about a week later, and an owner who I adore all my owners, but I see her a lot because she drops her dogs off for boarding, and she's just so supportive, so sweet. And she said to me out of nowhere, she was like, "You need to write a book." And I was like, "What?" Like, I had not been talking about it on Instagram. I think I did a while back, maybe. Um, she said that to me, and I was like, "It is so weird that you would say that to me, because I've literally been thinking about this for the past month." And I just wasn't sure if the timing was right. And you saying this, it's like, okay, well, I feel like maybe it's the right time. And one, that's a huge compliment, that anyone thinks I should write a book. And so, but it's been on my, I want to do this list. And so, knowing that my dad wanted to, and I wish that he did, because I would have loved to have read through a book of his and the stories, and I would have loved to have that. And so there's more propelling me forward with writing this book than just, I want to write a book, and I want an owner to read it and feel seen and heard. And so anyway, so I'm writing that. It's going really well. I'm super excited, and I'm really hopeful to have it out in April, May, late May. And we're self-publishing. I do not have a publisher. I'm not fancy, but I'm hopeful that it can be something that helps owners and trainers. And I don't know, I was really inspired by, years ago, like 10 years ago, another trainer who had written 2 books. And I was like, what? You can be a dog trainer and write a book? And he self-published, and it's always stuck with me. So Anyway, let's do the thing. Life is short. Okay, so I wanted to cover Valentina first. And by the way, the book is going to be called Dear Owner. There's a subline to it. What is it? I'll share it with you another time. But anyway, Dear Owner, and I'll let you know when that is live. And I hope you get it, hope you like it, hope it inspires you, and hope it helps you feel seen, heard, validated, and less alone. Okay, so Valentina, she was a little Frenchie. You can go watch her highlights that I have of her on Instagram. She was so cute, and I don't think, well, I'm trying to think of another dog I've taken out in public and had this many people talk to her. She is up there with one of the dogs I've worked with who has gotten the most compliments, the most oohs and ahs, people wanting to take pictures of her. She's a little dog celebrity. And her owners are amazing. They are pet sitters and dog walkers. They have a business. Is it Connecticut? Oh my gosh, hold on, because I don't want to get this wrong. They are just the coolest. And they moved down here to South Florida. So it's Connecticut and St. Pete, Florida. And it's PCBA Vet Tech Sitters. So cool, from the vet world. And they have a really successful business. And it's like, like, is anyone else like this where you think you know someone's name, but you won't say it just in case it's wrong? This is how I'm feeling about knowing where their business is. Okay. Connecticut and St. Pete. So, and then they moved down here, I think to be closer to maybe family or maybe just to have a change of scenery. And they're getting some clients down here in South Florida. They are amazing. I would 1000% trust them with my dogs. Working with owners through the board and train process, it can feel kind of intimate because it's I like to text owners updates and pictures and stuff. And they're just very communicative. Some owners I work with don't really talk so much. So it's really feels kind of one way where they're really great at voicing their goals and opinions and things in a really great way. So I grew to really adore them, and I'm hopeful to go visit them down south and bring Johnny sometime. So they have another French bulldog named Armani. We actually did a virtual session months and months back to really figure out the things they were telling me. I was like, well, can they do this on their own? Like, I'm never really trying to talk someone into the board and train, to be honest. I don't know if this is a bad business move, but it's because they were great owners. But I also know the board and train is a big expense. Could they do this on their own? And some owners just have that, like, I don't know if savviness is the right word, but I can tell that they could do this on their own. And also with the problems that they're struggling with, they could address them, and it wouldn't be really challenging, but not as challenging as someone who has like a super pushy dog who is anxious and reactive, and it's just a whole lot of things where an owner, a trainer stepping in would help. So talk with them on the phone. We did a video call, and I just really wanted to work with them, to be honest. Like, I talked with them and wanted to be their friend. Like, I was just like, this is going to be such a great experience. And they really wanted to do the board and train. They had been through another board and train up north, had a good experience, but they were still struggling with some reactivity. And since they moved down here, they wanted some extra help. The board and train is the only way that I do in-person help. So that's what we did. And then they were working with their dog Armani using the e-collar. His stuff seemed a little bit more mild, and it really seemed like one of those situations where Armani would benefit from Valentina being much better and less reactive. So it's turned into that where he makes better decisions because she's making better decisions. So it's a really great pairing. But with Valentina, what I wanted to share was she was a smaller dog, a smaller Frenchie. And almost always with smaller dogs, I usually think, okay, a micro mini educator would be best. So if you don't know, on this show, I talk a lot about e-collar training. I think it's the one piece that a lot of owners are missing. I want to share about the e-collar in a way that is, what's the word? I'm trying to think of like good words to say. That is open and honest, and the expectation is e-collar training can be really challenging. I'm going to be honest about levels that I use with dogs, and hopefully it helps you feel more confident in maybe using an e-collar if you feel like you've hit a wall with your dog in your training. And it could be the missing piece, or you're using an e-collar and you feel like you're hitting a wall. And so hopefully the things that I share gives you some insight where you're like, oh, I haven't tried that or thought of it this way. Great, this is what I need to do. So Valentina actually came to me on a micro mini educator, which is a smaller, it's not a smaller version. Well, the box on the e-collar is a little smaller than the mini educator, but it's like on the website, they say about a 20% difference in like the feeling of the levels. So I like to think of it as a maybe a 10 on the mini educator would be like a 15 on the micro mini. But it's nice because it's a smaller box on the neck, which is great for smaller dogs. And it's a little less intense, I guess, for smaller dogs, which is also nice. But with her, what I was finding was she didn't even care about level 100. So I'm saying that for reactivity. She is very reactive, and it's very spontaneous. So it's like one of the biggest things that I did with her, one of my biggest focuses was taking her on outings, which is not something I really do right away with dogs that haven't been trained on the e-collar yet, because I get a lot of dogs who I'm starting from scratch and we have to, go a certain way. And I lay this out actually in the e-collar starter guide. If you want to take a look and do it on your own, you could do a board and train at home if you'd like. So with Valentina, my focus was let's go when it's busier. So I would wait until like the end of the day. Usually I like to stop training or doing businessy things like around 4:35. But with her, we would leave at 4:30 because usually people get off work, they take their dogs out, all of that. And what I was finding was when I would address the reactivity, what I was doing with her was actually tapping on the e-collar when she would go to react. So initially I did that a few times, and then I would start to do something like correct if she got up from a down command, that kind of thing. So I do have a couple of other episodes. If you're like brand new here and you want more details about how I use the e-collar for reactivity, I would search in the search thing above this or on my podcast, type in reactive, and there's one, it's like reactivity masterclass, addressing reactivity with the e-collar. I would listen to that. We also have a new reactivity. I'm going to say this word so many times. My mouth is already going dry. So it is a new reactivity free guide. So I will link that in the show notes, and it has a bunch of links to the podcast and specific episodes that I think would be helpful for you. So with her, I was finding 100 on the micro did not mean anything to her. And that's kind of rare for a smaller dog. So it was just feedback to me of like, oh, we need to change to a mini educator. And it turns out the owners didn't even know that it was a micro. They thought it was a mini. So I switched her to a mini educator and found that it was much more meaningful with those higher levels. I don't know if I got up to 100 with her on the mini, but like for big outbursts where she would usually react to, like I was taking her to sit at a bench, have her lay down because she was great with the down command. But if a dog would come into her space too much, she would get up and lunge. So even when I would set like a little bubble for her and provide space for her, some dogs, like the 9th dog out of every 10 dogs, would set her off. And it was hard to tell. So what I found with her was when I then used the mini educator to correct for those moments. So I was just like watching, and I could tell when she was about to react. And so when she'd react, I would correct. And the levels that were a little higher on the mini educator meant more to her. So this is for anyone who, if you're using a micro mini educator on your smaller dog and you're getting up higher on the e-collar and it just feels like it's not working, it might be time for you to switch to a mini educator. So this is something I wanted to share with you and I told the owners, at our go home session, we went to a really busy farmer's market and hung out for a bit. And I was like, man, I need to share about this on my podcast, because I'm sure there's other people who have smaller dogs or medium-sized dogs and are using the micro mini educator, but would probably benefit from the mini educator. So they're two separate, different kinds of e-collar systems from Mini Educator brand, which is the one I recommend. It is my favorite e-collar to use. And so with her, but one thing that I have found is that, and I've been talking, the owners have been texting me, and I asked, because she said they took both dogs out somewhere. They live where there's like so many great distractions and places to sit and watch people and dogs pass by. And they're just continually exposing their dogs to other dogs, which is great. And they also have a dog walking business, so that helps. But I asked because she said two dogs from their apartment complex walked by and they weren't neutered. And they tend to set off Armani, their boy dog. And it also set off Valentina because dogs are to me, it's very fascinating. They are very aware of senses. So they sense things that we don't even know is going on probably. And so those dogs tend to set them off. And I asked, well, so when that happens, is it a little easier to bounce back after an outburst like that? And she was like, oh, yes, one of the owners. And I was like, yeah, it's so much easier to bounce back, which is great. Because sometimes it can feel like with reactivity, if your dog reacts, it's hard to like calm them down. And it just feels like it spirals out, where with e-collar training and having another tool in your toolkit that actually means something in those moments doesn't mean your dog will never react ever again. But it means you can best manage those situations and calm your dog back down and like reset. That's what it is. It just helps you better manage situations. And what happens is then you feel more confident going into situations maybe you never would before. Maybe right now you think you can't, because you know, okay, even if there's an outburst, we can bounce back. No big deal. So I want to share that. And I wanted to share that about Valentina, because the board and train does not mean, I'm sharing this for other trainers who think all trainers send off dogs from the board and train and things are perfect. That's just not how it is. I used to think that, and I used to get really self-conscious, like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. I'm a bad trainer. But what I found is that if I can help an owner feel more confident in handling those realistic situations that happen to all of us, then that's a win. So yeah. Okay, so that's Valentina. She's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera. They gave me a picture of her, me with Valentina. It's right here. It's me with her at the flower shop. Valentina's middle name is Rose, and we were picking out a rose bush, which I didn't get, but I was picking it out in my head and holding her, and she was smiling. So cute. Okay, so, but you can go take a look at Valentina's highlights. I'm sure I shared a lot of stuff that I'm not really sharing here, but one thing about when working with reactive dogs, that the recipe for long-term success and continued progress is a job plus exposure equals a job plus exposure over time equals more confidence. It sounds like a math equation, but a job like the down command, a job like heel, movement when you're out somewhere new with your dog is really helpful. I feel like it helps an owner feel more confident with movement. Stationary stuff is really tough. So with Valentina, I knew she could handle it. She's been through training. And we were really trying to take her training to the next level and challenge her as much as I could. So the down command was her job, plus exposure to the things that would make her react over time. And just remember this, because it's hard, I think, sometimes when we think of training as a board and train. And I don't know if this is something that owners think about, but because there's so many board and train trainers now, including myself, who have a dog for 2-3 weeks or whatever, it can feel like, well, I should get results in 2 to 3 weeks. But I want you to start thinking of it like, maybe give your dog like a reset or a head start or something like that. And then it's a long-term thing. So the more that you practice these things, the stronger they get. It's like right now, the last few years, I've really gotten into weight training. And the thing I love about it the most, because it's such a good reminder, is that it's a long thing. It's a long process thing. I have never worked out before and thought about, I want to be strong when I'm 80, but this is now where I'm at. I think because I'm going to turn 40 this year. And I'm like, my back is a little achy. Like I could trip over a crack in the road now and I think break a hip or something. That's how I feel. But with weight training, it's really helped me realize this is a long game thing, where I used to feel like I want to go do a HIIT class. I want to feel, skinny as soon as possible, where now it's like I'm trying to build strength and feel strong over time. So it's more of a long-term thing rather than a short term. And I think it's cool because it takes a long time to build muscle. I know everyone, I'm not going to speak like I'm an expert on strength training by any means. I am not. I used to think I don't want to get bulky or whatever, where it turns out it takes a lot to build muscle. So with, dog training, I'm going to link our 7-day reset a free guide in the show notes. And what you could do is start reading through that, implement that kind of a schedule to whatever, with that schedule, make it into whatever feels right for you. And then remember that it's a long-term thing. So this is why I always like to recommend that owners start to prioritize routines that are sustainable for you. Well, that work for your schedule. They're something that you can look forward to. And sometimes they feel too easy to be good, but it's something like place time while I watch TV, or place time while I cook dinner, or place is a great place to start. But if you add that in when it works best for you, not when like, oh, I got to do this right before I leave for work, even though that's my most stressful time of the day, you're not going to stick with it because it's not something that you like to do. So when it comes to dog training, it's not really about like the sessions you do throughout the day. It's how you bring in these training like management tools like place, heel on the walk, recall practice, kennel time, how you incorporate those into your already busy life and fit it in when it works best for you. That's when you will start to see more progress because it's easier to stick with. So that's what I'll say about that. Start with our 7-day freebie guide. I'll also link, I have to link a lot of things, my place command free guide. So that is a starter with place command. So start with those. But yeah, sustainability with training is really how I want you to think about this. The board and train is a great head start. Like the owner I am working with, so Ellie goes home Sunday, I have the week off, and I get a new dog on Saturday from South Florida. And I talked with the owner on a video call because I wasn't sure if she'd be the right fit, to be totally honest. It's hard to get that kind of a vibe. It's hard. It's easy to get certain vibes from people through texting or messaging on Instagram that feels like, oh, this might be a red flag. I don't know. So I wanted to talk with her. And she's going to be a great fit. So I'm looking forward to helping her. And she needs a serious head start with her dog, her big doodle, who is running the walks, who is just sounds like like everything I post on Instagram, and she'll chime in with a comment or something and be like, oh, I can't wait. Milo is going to blow your mind with how hard he pulls on the walk. So I'm very excited to meet him and her. But with the board and train, it's a great head start, but I want you to start thinking about how can I implement this training so that it feels sustainable? It's something I can stick with. And it could be something as small as one place time a day that works for you. Because I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. Okay, let me read this message that made me cry. And because I know a lot of you are struggling with stuff, and I think it's important to know what's possible. So with our e-collar starter guide, I'm going to mention this, and then I'm going to dive into Ellie, who I'm currently working with, and some things that have really helped with her reactivity. Okay, so Caitlin messaged me. I'm on day 4 of e-collar training using your guides and videos, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to thank you enough. I never thought I'd be able to do this alone. I seriously contemplated driving from Virginia to Florida for a couple of weeks so Stevie could work with you. But your guides are so user-friendly and encouraging, and the videos are so helpful to reinforce visually what you've read. She is already staying on place for 40 minutes. We are getting much better at loose leash walking, and her overall demeanor has changed. She is, maybe was, the pushiest pup I've ever encountered, and she has really challenged me, honestly, even broken me at times. I mean, how relatable is that, being broken by your dog? I knew she had so much potential, but I just couldn't figure out how to harness it. I want to be able to enjoy all the freedoms and fun, but was worried we'd never be able to. Now I have so much hope for her and us. Okay, thank you so much. So I just wanted to share that there's hope for you, for anyone who's struggling, and there's a lot you can do on your own. Board and train is great, but if you're really not dedicated, I know a lot of you are dedicated and sometimes you just need extra help, and I am all for hiring a trainer. There's a lot you can do on your own though. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, Ellie. I'm going to talk about Ellie real quick. She is our current board and train dog, and she is a standard poodle border collie mix. Striking if you haven't seen her over on Instagram. She is such a cool looking dog. It is a breed mix I've never worked with. I've worked with each. A standard poodle, the one I worked with was, oh my gosh, what was her name? She was a black standard poodle, and I'll never forget because her owner was this super eccentric older lady who was really rich. And I only say that because at the time, I I didn't really have very good boundaries with people, and so I went over to her house. So I was in her big giant mansion, and she lived over in like a bougie part of town, and she was just very eccentric, and I really loved going there to hear her stories. Like she was very open, telling me these stories about her life, and it just felt so like uh, glamorous and dramatic, and I'm very drawn to people like that that are eccentric. I forget her dog's name. It was something like a person's name, and I loved it. And her standard poodle was very reactive towards dogs, but so chill. The most chill dog I think I've ever worked with. And then a border collie I've worked with, Ryder, one of the most reactive dogs I've ever worked with, and also one of my very favorite dogs I've worked with because he was so primal. And I love a dog that makes me remember these are dogs. These are not, because sometimes, we're dressing our dogs up. I'm creating cute graphics about dogs on Instagram. They're wearing sweaters, whatever. But when you work with a dog who is bred to herd sheep, and I'm pretty sure if we dropped him in a farm, he would do it on day one, it's a very powerful feeling. It's like it feels very cool, and training feels a little different because it feels very intentional. What I mean by that is like he needs this. It would click so fast with him where it was kind of like he was like, all right, finally someone's like being really clear with me and telling me exactly what I need to do, and I'll do it. And it was just cool. It felt like if you've ever felt like when you're working with your dog and something starts to click, it's one of the best feelings. And with him, when it would happen, it was like, oh, this is just the coolest. And he was such a cool dog. So Ellie is a combo, and she's a very excitable dog who came to us very reactive towards bikes, skateboards, joggers, anything moving fast, because I think she just wants to herd it, really. HERD. So I one thing that has helped her a lot, and I think this is something that it's hard to show on Instagram, but it's a huge benefit of e-collar training, is I use the e-collar to slow her down a lot. So she was a very all over the place dog, pulling on the walk, trying to like go between her owner's legs, jumping on people, just very frantic. And the e-collar is a great way to be like, hey, relax. It's just a really nice way to, well, it's a very clear way, like to snap a dog out of that heightened, amped up mode. So, one way that I like to do that with dogs is on the walk when we're walking and I'm using it for the heel command. So what I'll do is pair tone plus stim. I like to start in the backyard, and I did this with her because I like to get dogs off leash as soon as possible in the backyard. It just makes my life easier. And one of my mottos that I hope you embrace as well is um, prioritize the commands that simplify your life. And for me, that's recall, because I can recall a dog from the kennel room into the backyard and not have to have a leash on. And it's just really nice. For you, that could be place time because your dog begs a lot at dinner time or whatever. So with her, slowing her down was really helpful. And what I found was even when she would just feel the e-collar, it would slow her down. So it's kind of like, because she has to start understanding like, okay, when I feel this, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to come to you. I'm supposed to stop doing something. And so she would be like, oh, okay. So it kind of slows your dog down without asking them to slow down. It's just a really cool benefit of e-collar training. And when you're working with a dog, this could be you who's working with your dog and they're amped up all the time, maybe barking at stuff all the time, or uh, just always excitable, overly excitable. That's how I like to describe Ellie. It can feel like really hard to work on the heel command when they are just out of control excited. So if you start to think about the e-collar as a way to be like, hey, shh, relax. Starting with something like recall in the backyard, or because that's getting a dog to follow with you more, which slows them down. They have to focus on where you are. Um, so working on the different commands like that, it has slowed her down a lot where she has to pay attention to me and where I am, which is really helpful for her to help her have a calmer mindset. Excuse me. So when I'm working with a dog who comes in super reactive towards bikes, I'm already thinking about, it's like a slideshow. I'm thinking about the end where we're walking past a bike or I'm biking with her and she's not trying to attack the bike. But in order to get there, we have to slow her down. We have to correct the reactivity, which is really helpful. Once you say no to something, then you can say yes to so much more. It's a big piece missing for a lot of owners. So with her, what has been really helpful is one, the heel command and working on that and holding her accountable for it. So what that looks like is teaching her what I want her to do on the walk, where I want her to be, and then treating it like there's an invisible fence at my knees. So when she starts to creep up to that spot, I would give a tap on the e-collar and a little pop back with the leash. So I like to pair. Tone means come with me to encourage movement. And then the red button on the e-collar corresponds to levels 1 through 100. So whatever I'm at with her. So when I start to set a boundary for where I don't want her to cross my body, it makes her more aware of like, oh yeah, okay, I got to stay here. I can't cross. I need to pay attention to whoever I'm with and their body movement. It just starts to create a new focus point for her that's not so much the squirrels, the bikes, the joggers. It's more, okay, I need to pay attention to this person. So that's step one. And step two is correcting the reactivity. So with her, when did I do it? I think I had Bobby bring out a bike, maybe, or maybe I corrected for when we were walking and she tried to chase a squirrel, because you can do that. It's like, so it's prey drive on the walk. It's not necessarily reactivity, but anything that creates that evokes a reaction in a dog on the walk that seems like loud and like messy, to me, that's reactivity. So if I want a dog to walk next to me and they want to pull me towards a squirrel, I'm going to correct for that because that's not what we're doing on a walk until I say break, which is my like go potty or go sniff kind of a thing. That's my word for that. So with her being able to say no using the e-collar, and for her, the level one, she's a bigger dog. She's too, well, is standard poodle a powerful breed? I don't know. They're smart. They don't shed, right? But the border collie in her, I just know because I've worked with a border collie that is a strong breed. Her instincts are super strong. It's just in her. But now we're starting to reset, like, what do you do when you have that instinct to chase a squirrel? Well, we're not living on a farm, so let's second guess it. Or let's think twice before chasing it, because it's not safe for the owner who also wants to run with her, who wants to do a lot of active stuff with her, which I love so much. So for her, correcting those outbursts was really helpful. I actually forget the other time that I corrected, because she's not super reactive towards dogs. It's more, scooters. I corrected for lunging at a scooter with kids on them. So it's not the kids, it's the scooters that were really setting her off. That help big time. And the levels for that are higher. So my one piece of advice when you're using the e-collar for reactivity is pay attention to your levels and don't keep using the same level over and over, expecting the same results. What's that quote? It's like insanity if you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting the same thing to happen, or no, different results. So what I want you to start thinking about is dial up by 5. So let's say if you are at level 30 and you thought that was high for your dog and you corrected for something, but your dog keeps doing the behavior you don't want them to do, next time try dialing up by 5. I might dial up by 20 because my experience tells me, okay, I'm working with this dog. She's part border collie. Her instincts are so strong. Like she is just so wrapped up in the thing she wants to chase. I have to meet that intensity with the e-collar level. So for me, I know, okay, I'm going to go up to 75. Let's start there. Where an owner might underwhelm because it's you and your dog. You don't have the experience, which is totally normal. So you might start way lower than I would, but you have a lot of room for growth. And that's something I'm going to talk about in one of the questions I got. She's using a different kind of e-collar, but still, levels. Pay attention to that. Always come back to what level did I use last time? Okay, and she still reacted to something. Okay, let me go up by 5 to 10 and just start there. It can really make the biggest difference in your progress with your dog if you stop underwhelming them. And it's the number one thing I find owners do, and I totally get it. I totally understand it, but I'm here to tell you it's probably time to dial up. So that is my thing about her. Okay, so that's what's going on with Ellie. She's doing really great. It's just a lot of like doing similar things each day, being consistent with them. Like I've been doing, this is usually my schedule anyway, but a morning place time, which I really enjoy because I can also do some creative stuff, some writing the book, creating some content, afternoon, like around lunch, or in a morning walk, either before or after that place time. an afternoon chunk of kennel time so we can let our dogs out, have some lunch, and then I'll bring her out for some more place time and work with her on something. Maybe take her somewhere or work on something here to proof a command or whatever that looks like. So, but it's really just being consistent and being able to follow through with a tool like the e-collar to say no to things like barking, jumping. But again, the e-collar is such a great way to just like, just chill out, just like to snap dogs out of that, like excited, frantic stuff. It's a super helpful tool for that. And then you can teach so many things. But for a lot of you, it's really hard to teach something like heel or the down command or place when your dog is barking at the TV or pulling your arm out of your socket, So if you want to get started with e-collar training, take a look at our e-collar starter guide, and there is a private video library just for you where you can hear me using the e-collar when I use it, and I've heard that it is very helpful. Okay, so I wanted to answer some FAQ. I'm trying to keep this not too long of an episode. Okay, let's see. What if your dog bites you who is otherwise an affectionate dog? Okay, so this one is interesting. So he generally has no issues. Okay, she was trying to put on his sweater. Okay, so I'm only laughing because when I hear that a dog bites you sometimes, to me, immediately my brain goes to, you need way more structure, way less, like not even just affection, but like you need to treat your dog a little differently than you probably are now, which just means like, it's like with our dog Theo, he growls at us if we let him on the couch. So I don't let him on the couch anymore. Why? Because I don't want my dog growling at me. And then let's say if he bit us once when he was on the couch, he would have no more couch privileges. And that just might be my brain is a trainer, or I have 4 dogs, so I can have another dog on the couch. And if it's just your one dog, I know how great it is to have a dog on the couch. Can you see this? Oh, is John? Okay, Johnny's on the couch. He's always on the couch. And I love this. I finally have a dog that I can allow on the couch, and he's sweet and not pushy. But if you have a dog who bites you every now and then, there needs to be a lot of structure. That's just where my mind goes. It's like I would have no couch privileges for that dog. I would only have them on place. I would incorporate some kennel time so that they can have some like time to decompress. Okay, last incident was after he ate dinner. I stooped down over him and gave him a little kiss. I do this all the time, and he generally loves it and soaks it in. He bit me on my cheek. He is e-collar trained. I've since put him in a more disciplined environment, but yeah, I would love some insight in such situations based on your experience. Let's see. But yeah, since the above incidents, I kept his e-collar on all day. Great. That's a great first move. Only off when he goes to sleep at night. I got him a bed that he stays in when we are on the couch. Check, check. Those are great. He does do place and stay well. He walks well now with the e-collar. He can be an occasional scavenger, but much better than before. But yes, these bite incidents is what I want to manage and address, and any pointers, ideas will be appreciated and more helpful. Okay, Mimi. So what I would say is you're on the right track. Everything you're doing is so great. It's exactly what I would recommend. I really think, so here's what I've seen, and I don't know your dog. I rarely work with dogs that bite, and it just sounds like it's kind of like a pushy bite thing, like entitled is the word that comes to mind. So what I would say is have a minimum of a month of doing the things that you're doing. Have the e-collar on anytime you're at home. And this is an interesting one because I think a lot of people don't do this. Like Valentina's owners who had been through a board and train, and not to say owners who go through board and trains are always great with this, and they were, I think, only having the e-collar when she was on a walk. And so I remember them saying, like, we've had the e-collar on anytime she's in the house now. Armani too, when Valentina was here, she was like, it's just made such a huge difference. Because I want you to think about the e-collar not as a get your dog to behave tool, but more like it's on just in case you need it. It's like when you get into a car and you go for a car ride, you put on your seatbelt, not because you get into a car wreck every day, but because just in case you need your seatbelt to keep you safe. Very similar with the e-collar for your dog. So love that you're having it on every day. I want you to do, I mean, part of me, when I say a minimum of a month, yeah, I am going to say that because most people, I would say a minimum of 2 weeks. It's kind of, think of it like a reset, but because you've had some bite incidents, I really think you need to get serious about, instead of thinking of it like a disciplined environment, it's just adding in more structure to your dog's day. And you have a dog who needs it. Because I think some dogs, they have a lack of structure and more freedom and more couch time and more cuddles. And it's like a switch goes off. And it's, I think, because of just who your dog is, their DNA, their genetics, it's like something we can't really control. But I think your dog is looking at that like, oh, just like, I've got this house on lock. I can do whatever I want. Where another dog like Johnny gets that affection and stuff, and it's like, ugh, wiggle butt. This is like the best. And that's what really sucks sometimes, because you think everyone has a wiggle butt dog, but I'm telling you, we all don't. So the more the norm is what you're struggling with and dealing with. So I think pulling back on some of that affection, you can still love on him. I wouldn't do the go down and kiss his cheek. I just wouldn't. I would pet his head, or give him some affection when he's doing something you really want, that when there's no food around or anything like that. But start to think about, it's just, I think it's important to rewire how you think about your dog right now. It's like rewiring your owner brain, because your dog needs you to be a little different than you thought being an owner would look like. So I think adding in the more structure, the place time on the bed instead of on the couch with you, great. I want you to stick with that for a month. Have the e-collar on anytime you're at home, take it off overnight, great. But stick with those things, walking nicer with you on the walk, place instead of the couch for a month, and see how your dog does. I'd be curious. It doesn't mean your dog will never nip at you again, but I think you're kind of resetting what life with you looks like. And it's more boundaries, less do whatever you want kind of a thing, which is really helpful for a dog like yours. So that's what I would recommend. I love that you're already doing those things. Take a look at our free highlights, like the 7-day reset, maybe add in some of those practices. And I think you're going to see better results. But I just think your dog was like, I can do whatever I want. And because of your dog and who he is, I think, or she, because of who he was taking advantage of that. And some dogs just do that. Some dogs don't. Your dog does. So keep up with it. Let me know how it goes, but I would do that for a month. Seems like a long time, but I don't know. Put a reward on the calendar that you go do something fun after the month. But I think it's what's best for your dog. And I think you'll see less of those nips when that happens. Okay, let's see. Let's do one more. Okay, addressing digging in the yard effectively. Okay, Katie, I already know. You're using, it's a different e-collar that I think has 10 levels, I think, or 15 or something. And you were using level 6 out of those levels to stop the digging. So digging for me is like one of those behaviors where you set it up. As soon as your dog starts to dig, you correct with a level that means something to really deter your dog from digging. And if you use level 6 out of 10, so again, the e-collar I use that I recommend has 100 levels. It is a little more pricey than the ones that have 10 levels. So if you go that route, I get it. But for you, you still have 4 levels you could try. So you're using the same level, expecting different results. So I want you next time to use level 8. I don't know really what the levels, I'm just going based on, okay, 6 out of 10. Let's go up to 8 for something like digging, because you don't want him to do it anymore. Him. Ugh, I hate when I don't know. So try that next time. Timing is really important. I know you said like your dog looks at you like, okay, it like stops your dog from doing it, but then they do it again. So up on the level. That's like, it needs to be like my tagline or something. You need to dial up. It's time. So that's what I'd say. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. After correcting for reactivity, my dog won't leave heel for like the whole walk and acts really mopey. Okay, so for this, what I would recommend is adding in some break times. So anytime I'm working with a dog, like Ellie actually is very clingy. She's a close walker. So if I correct her for being pushy with heel, she tends to walk a little closer. So what I'll do, if I'm working with a dog like yours, I would recommend this to you. Like if I am you working with your dog, to me, I don't look into it like it's mopey. I just look at it like, well, this is a process. We are learning new things. It can feel messy at times, and corrections are not, they're not comfortable. So what I would say is it's a part of the process. There's messy moments. It does not feel like always rainbows and sunshine, but to me, when you have moments like that, it's usually like, okay, you're seeing some progress, you're getting there, you just have to get over these humps. But for you, I would recommend add in some break times to your walk. So break, go over to the grass, let your dog sniff a little, a minute, I don't know, 30 seconds, heel, tap on tone, let's go. Maybe change your tone a little, act a little more encouraging. That's what I would do. I totally get how when you correct for something and then like, oh, it seems like, especially if your dog is walking really close to you. And it's so funny that you say, my dog won't leave heel for like the whole walk. Well, that's actually like a lot of people want that. That's good. But I get what you mean. It's probably like a close walking heel that feels like kind of frantic. So just add in some breaks and try to like get a little more loosey goosey. And then when you are walking by dogs or something, tap on heel. I mean tone. Get back in heel. Correct if you need to. It's part of the process. But I promise you, after walks like that, it's usually a little softer the next walk. I see this all the time where it's like, okay, I've had a tough walk with a dog where I had to correct for some things because it can feel a little messy when you correct and then you're trying to like, sounds like your dog knows what he should be doing. It's just the close walking probably, I'm assuming. But I find that the next day it's a little softer. It's not as like, oh, I can't move from here, but add in some breaks. And that's also if your dog doesn't want to break, give some leash guidance. It's just a good way to reinforce that command because break is a command. But like with Ellie, she's a super close walker, so very similar. And so what I would do is I'd do some more turns. I would also give leash guidance away from me, just to kind of reinforce. I don't want you walking like right on my where I'm like rubbing my leg on your body. Just felt too close. So that's another thing. But add in a little bit of some breaks, some fun. That's what I would recommend. Okay. My dog hates drive-throughs. Any tips to get him past this so past this so he can enjoy a pup cup on the go? Okay, so your dog hates drive. So I'm assuming when you say I should have asked you, but your dog hates drive-throughs. Is your dog barking and lunging and like going crazy? If that is the case, down command. Well, down command in the car is my go-to all the time, and hold your dog accountable for down. And what that means is the e-collar is my tool for that. It just makes it so much easier if your dog understands what down is. So you tell them down, they lay down, and then if let's say you stop at a drive-through and your dog pops up and starts whining or barking, no, you can say no to any of that stuff, but also you can say no, tap on the e-collar, down. So that is holding your dog accountable for down. The down command is so helpful. Maybe I know you're not going to like this. Maybe your dog doesn't deserve a pup cup in the car if your dog is freaking out. But again, this is if your dog is being reactive in the car, or it could be if your dog is like super shaky and anxious. That's different. That could just come from exposure plus a job. So down command in the car would be my go-to for that. Oh, I like to start working on the down command in the car because let's just assume that your dog does not do well with down, or your dog does, but in the car it's like feels almost impossible. Start in your driveway. You're not going for a pup cup this time, but start in your driveway and just back up to the end of the driveway. And that would be your little session. Set a timer for 10 minutes, practice there, and just practice down in the car. That's super helpful for any kind of I don't like drive-through stuff. And then also you can use the e-collar to say no to any barking. That is so helpful. Once you're able to say no to the loud stuff, then it's easier to say yes to things you want your dog to do. And give the pup cup. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this episode was helpful. As always, if you find that this is helpful and everything, if anything, Johnny, and anything resonated with you, message me over on Instagram. Come here. Whoa. Message me on Instagram. Let me know. I love hearing from you. It really, it's like fuel to my creative fire. So I'm so happy you're here. Right, Johnny? Thank you. Okay, until next time, and all our resources will be linked in the bio. So it's there for you. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye. Oh my gosh, Johnny.